Just want to see if I'm live on film. Yep. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back with another video, and I'm live on Facebook and YouTube as per usual. As I said in part one, I do want to do a split screen thing, but I'm wary of YouTube. This is going to keep. I think it's a new AI algorithm or something probably, which seems to think that. It seems to say it's but something about me making multiple platforms to try and scam people or something like that. So anyway, I'm lucky to have my channel back, I guess. I'm blessed or whatever, but this time I'm focusing on the YouTube screen rather than the Facebook screen. But anyway, so I might not be able to answer any questions or anything like that on Facebook, but anyone that might be watching on Facebook. But yeah, welcome to part two of I guess my quest to look into what dyslexics can contribute to the world, in this case Italian football or soccer or Calcio or FOOTie or whatever you want to call it. So these are pointers number 11 to 20. I hope you enjoy them. I've got to admit, I was feeling a bit tired today. Well, not so much at the moment, but I was feeling a bit tired, and I keep running out my ideas, and I think it's something to do with my electricity being not cut off, but having a problem with my electricity, the fuse box or whatever it is, I don't know, so it's been short circuited or what, I don't know, something like that. I'm not very good with that sort of stuff. But anyway, these are pointers number 11 to 20, as I say, and I hope you enjoy it. And here goes. So number 11. Initially, yesterday, before I had my problems with the electricity and all that kind of thing, I couldn't get onto my laptop because it had run out of charge and I had problems with the sockets. But I was gonna, at one point, I think I was gonna say about how about these are my strategies for Italian football and that kind of thing to improve Italian football, and I'm not sure how much of them I should give away. Well, I guess I'll try and think about which ones I want to share and which ones I wouldn't want to share. And I was thinking I'd love to work with dyslexic artists who could draw football pictures to draw up the strategies and all that kind of thing on paper and that kind of thing. I love to write on a whiteboard, but I'm not very good with drawing, and even my writing is not the best of the best at times, but people tell me, but I really struggle to write neatly on a whiteboard, although I'd love to write on a whiteboard, but for some reason, I don't know why, something feels really good about writing on a whiteboard. I've thought of it even, but I do struggle to write properly, especially on whiteboards. I think my writing is even worse on them than it would be on paper or whatever. But yeah, to work with dyslexics who are good at artists, especially in Italy itself, or those who are, like, if I could find fellow dyslexics who are also fans of Italian football, and should encourage my fellow dyslexics to be fans of Italian football, that would be pretty cool. I can get them to draw up the strategies and go through it with them, perhaps. And I'd love for Italy to host events inviting dyslexic people around the world to have like its own miniature World Cup. So, as I mentioned in part one, you might be able to tell I've had a shave. My stepdad gave me a shave because I'm very clumsy. I mentioned in the past, like I cut myself and all that, and also a haircut, even though I'm kind of balding. But so yeah, fairly fresh. Although it does feel a bit cold now. It's probably the wrong time to do it in the winter or whatever. But also I finally cut my nails as well, so it's nice and fresh. One thing I was going to do is, so I'm not going off topic, but one thing, nice life story and all that kind of stuff, but I was going to strip and remake my bed. Not strip, no one think about, but honestly, I was going to strip and remake my bed and all that kind of stuff, nice and fresh. But I think I'll do that on Monday because I'm a bit lazy at the moment to do that. But especially with my lighting situation, all that kind of thing. Anyway, again, I know it's a bit off topic, nice life story, nothing to do with the time for all there, but I just thought I'd mention that. But thinking about changes though, and I mentioned in part one how I'd love for Italian football to learn from others, from other sports teams, from other football teams at club and country level, national teams and club teams, and also other sports teams and the world of business and life itself generally, whenever they can. And I was going to say, I've jumped ahead of myself, I guess, but I was going to say how I'd love to see what town football could learn to improve. What town football could do to improve, and I guess that requires learning. Once again, I've jumped ahead of myself, but what a town football could do to improve. And I can't imagine it, but if I'm really dreaming, I would love to encourage, as I say, my fellow dyslexics to invest into, sponsor, and should even donate to a town football, as well as Celtic. And if I could create like dyslexic millionaires networks and a dyslexic millionaires network and a dyslexic billionaires network, and what I call billionaires networks more generally, and I got like 10% of the equity, I would donate like 20% of that to a town football. Looking at what a town football could do to improve, I'd love to see a town football become more attacking, but also look at what teams that win have done, so how to transform things. I hope that the national team can turn things around and get to the World Cup, so hopefully we can beat Northern Ireland and I think either Wales or Bosnia in our place, so hopefully we can win those games and go on to win the World Cup, hopefully by some miracle. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think maybe if Italy qualifies for the World Cup, I might even go and watch the World Cup. I'm not 100% sure, but possibly would. I mean, only if Italy qualifies, I think. I'd at least think about it. I'd be half-minded too. But I mentioned I'm not the most independent. I don't know if I should admit that. I'm too much info away again, but I'd maybe love to go to America and watch, and check on Mexico and Canada or whatever, wherever the World Cup will be hosted. Hopefully, the Italian diaspora in America, Canada, and if they're already in Mexico, will be able to celebrate somehow a miraculous turnaround, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I was thinking of. I thought of that in the past when we failed to qualify in 2018. I was we as a fan. But moving on, number 12. Hopefully, this can be something as a for dyslexics, maybe even dyscalculics and dysgraphics, to work on to show what we can do. And even I mentioned like people with physical disabilities, people who are blind or in wheelchairs or whatever, might not be able to play football, but they could share their ideas and strategies perhaps to benefit Temple. But hopefully it's something dyslexics around the world, not just in Italy, but around the world, can be proud of, to show what we can actually achieve and that kind of thing, what we can do and that kind of thing. So I think that covers everything for point number 12. But hopefully it's time for can get back to the glory days that it had before. Number 13, I often mention like it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I know I support Italian, even though they're not necessarily the most ethical, but just because I think I look Italian and I support them since I was a teen. But from a bias point of view, I'd love to see them do well. Number 14, I hope that they can find a lot of solutions to problems and that kind of thing through football and turn their situation around, as I say. And I often think about like working with FIFA and UEFA to solve problems. One other thing I want to talk about is like I would love for dyslexic and other people with related conditions to work with FIFA and UEFA on ideas. I wouldn't want us to break any laws or encourage anything illegal, even FIFA or UEFA to do. In fact, if anything, I'd want to look at how to cut corruption and to work with with my fellow dyslexics and other people with related conditions to show what we could do, and working with FIFA to tackle corruption and crime through football and that kind of thing, in football itself and through football as well. So tackling corruption in football, anything illegal in football, and at the same time also through football tackling corruption, like for instance getting young people to get into football so that it can improve their lives and things like that. Look at how football can bring people together. And on that note, it just reminds me as well of an idea I've talked about a few times, which is to encourage divestment from wars and the weapons trade, and instead encourage it to be invested into Italian football and Celtic. Ideally, that's another dream of mine. Number 15. This will be all part of projects I wish to create, and I'll briefly mention them again in part 1. I mentioned them in point number 5, I think. But I'd love to show what dyslexic people could do for Italian football, Celtic, maybe libertarianism, and helping people from former colonies and tackling poverty. So basically what we could contribute to the world as well generally, but especially in those sorts of things. So what we could contribute to humanity, but also Italian football, Celtic, libertarianism perhaps. I'd love to encourage my fellow dyslexics to learn about libertarianism, and also what we could contribute to helping emerging market economies. Like sometimes I wonder if, again, I know this is a bit of a side note, but I wonder if India and China found out about the strengths of dyslexia and didn't see it as a weakness, or that it was just a weakness, but they found out that we also have many strengths. I wonder if they could utilize the strengths of dyslexics to grow their economies even quicker. Because like many organizations like Made by Dyslexia, the Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity, Dyslexic Advantage, and others, the Child Mind Institute, and Understood, for instance, say is that dyslexics have talents and abilities that we, between us, not me personally, but dyslexics generally have those sorts of things which could be contributed to the world. So many dyslexics can be good entrepreneurs, artists, or good in different areas like engineers, being architects and all sorts of things. So even designing stadiums, for instance. One of the things I'd love to show what we could do is what we could do to benefit Italian football on and off the pitch, financially and in other ways. For instance, a dyslexic person could come up with creative ways to talk about how to attract investment into Italian football, investment and sponsorship and that kind of thing, as well as perhaps investing into it and sponsoring it themselves. Number 16, I'd love for Italian football to work together in committees and think tanks, and even like rival teams, somehow to work together to talk about what they could do to benefit Italian football. It'd be hard to imagine, but I sort of envisage, if that's the right word, like former players, former footballers. I'd love for former footballers like Nesta, Maldini, Gattuso as a manager at the moment, but I hope he can use his experience and also talk to former players like Roberto Baggio, Cannavaro, and people like that to sort of say what could Italian football do to improve and continuously improve, and also people to talk about in schools. And I'd love for Italians to meet up for like at least an hour a day as much as possible, including on Zoom if they can't meet in person, to talk about like what can we do to improve Italian football. So basically there have to be committees, think tanks, cooperatives, networks and whatnot which discuss ways to benefit Italian football at club and country level. What can be done to improve Italian football, and that kind of thing. Number 17, think about dyslexia and imagination and our abilities in sports and different areas. I wonder how many dyslexic players could play for the Italian national team and should call Serie A, the Italian league. And I'd love for Serie A, the Italian league, and also Coppa Italia and the Super Cup to attract as much investment as possible, sponsorship, like I think sponsors to sponsor such events, and so Italian football to attract as much investment and sponsorship and basically money, funding basically in all possible legal ways. And again, talking about imaginations, if I imagine like creating a dyslexic millionaires network and a dyslexic billionaires network, and maybe even a dyslexic trillionaires network in the future, those networks could benefit Italian football, hopefully. If I'm really dreaming, I'd love to. If I'm really dreaming, I'd love to encourage my fellow dyslexics to show. I'd love to encourage my fellow dyslexics to support and benefit Italian football as much as possible. But I might try. I might try. As they say, I might dream. But So yeah, it would be hard to imagine, but it might be a hard sell, but I do my best to encourage my fellow dyslexics. So dyslexics out there, please support your town football and see what we can do for a town football. Same for Celtic as well. But yeah, I probably can't win everyone over. As I say, you can't win them all. And that kind of thing. Life is a numbers game, after mention as well. But yeah, I imagine that if I could create the Dyslexic Millionaires Network and I got like 10% of that and it made billions, I would donate like 20% of that total to, so let's say if there was a Dyslexic Millionaires Network and it made £1 billion, and I was worth 10% of that for founding it, for coming up with the idea and like registering the idea, trademark, protecting the idea, I would donate 20% of that, 10%. So it'd be altogether it'd be about 20 million or something like that, I think. So yeah, $1 billion. I don't know, dreaming big picture dreams, but if it was like worth $1 billion or whatever in a year, say, I got 10% of that would be 100 million divided by 20. So yeah, 20. That would be about 20 million. Just double checking my maths there. But moving on, also it could give a purpose for dyslexics and dyscalculics, dysgraphics and whatnot, and make them feel better, like we contribute to something, and that kind of thing. But moving on, number 18, as I say, I hope it will show a positive side to dyslexics. So those in Italy will see what we could contribute to a town football, hopefully. But also people around the world will say, oh yeah, dyslexics had this campaign where they showed what they could do for town football, for this mad guy here, coming up with that mad idea. And they've shown that they can transform town football to a giant again, to become the best, hopefully, and continue to improve all the time, year on year, or even each and every single day as well. Number 19, with great power comes great responsibility. So I'd love to see town football doing lots for charity, including helping software developers across Africa and that kind of thing, for instance. And number 20, and also helping people in STEM and that kind of thing. So having football matches which also fundraise for people in STEM in developing nations, and to support businesses in developing nations, for instance in South Africa and places like that. And I am out, and peace and love.